Now, I don't want people to misconstrue that the title of this video means Alex Caruso is a problem for the Chicago Bulls. No, far from it. More so that Alex Caruso, what he brings as a player, his trade value, etc., is going to present a problem for the Bulls this offseason because, look, we know the Bulls need to make some changes this offseason. Now, they may not do that because for some reason this front office loves to double down in sticking with this crew, believing that somehow this team is going to magically turn things around. But if we're being honest with ourselves, this team is not it. We know that, and we've known that for a while. The problem, though, as I've outlined in prior videos, the Bulls don't really have a ton of options to make meaningful upgrades to their roster, given their limited cap space, trade assets, and just the weird timeline they're on with these older veterans and younger developing players. Unless, of course, they just decide to blow things up and rebuild this roster, which we know the front office isn't going to do. So therein lies the problem with Alex Caruso, because unlike most of this roster, Alex Caruso actually has a lot of value in a trade. He's on a very team-friendly contract at $9.4 million. He still has 2 years left on his deal, making it attractive enough for a team wanting to add Caruso, and that you wouldn't just be getting him on a one-year rental. And while the Bulls certainly need a guy like Caruso for his hustle and effort on defense, like the Bulls don't finish top 5 in defense in the league without Caruso, that's for sure. At the same time, though, what have we been talking about all season long? The Bulls have to improve their shooting. They have to adapt and adjust to the modern day style of NBA play. We've seen it in the numbers. The math simply does not work when the Bulls, regardless of the talent level they have, cannot compete and win games when they're shooting very few threes. And while Caruso can shoot threes, he is by no means considered to be a lockdown three-point shooter. So in today's video, we're going to be discussing Alex Caruso, his future with the Bulls, and what it would look like for the Bulls if they did not have AC on the roster. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, I want to say from the outset, because I'm sure there will be a lot of people coming at me in the comments saying that I'm crazy for wanting to move Alex Caruso. I want to be very clear. I do not want the Bulls to trade Alex Caruso. I think the Bulls have to keep him on the roster and look to build and improve the lineup in other areas, because you absolutely need a lockdown defender like AC. His value and what he brings to the court is something very unique in his ability to pickpocket players on the perimeter, turn defense into offense, and also just his general IQ and awareness on the defensive end is top notch and one of the best in the league. For a guy who's only making $9 million, you don't let that go. No, you figure out a way how to improve the roster in other areas. That is, unless you get an amazing trade package for him that is just too good to pass up. Because at the end of the day, remember, the Bulls don't have much to work with in their options to improve the roster going into the offseason without trading one of their big three. Now, leading up to the trade deadline, there were rumors going around the Bulls were seeking 2 first-round picks in exchange for Caruso, which sounds insane. I love AC, and he's a valuable player, but 2 first-round picks for a player of his caliber is a stretch. But hey, from the Bulls' perspective, they're looking at it from the standpoint of, we don't want to give up AC. Why would we give up a player like him on a value contract? If you really want him, you're going to have to overpay for him. And that is the asking price, 2 first-round picks. It's not a bad play, to be honest, because we already know Caruso is wanted by multiple teams around the league who are looking for that defensive-minded player and veteran to come off the bench. The Warriors are a team in particular that have been linked to Caruso in the past. Would they give up multiple first-rounders for Caruso, maybe even add a young player like Moses Moody? Adding AC to their lineup for another last push at a title or 2 while Curry remains in his prime? What about a team like the Miami Heat, who a player like Caruso would instantly fit their culture and provide some great defense on the perimeter, for which they are currently lacking? Would the Lakers even try to make a push to bring Caruso back? Although, scratch that, they don't have any first-round picks to trade. Maybe the Celtics, the Sixers, any contending team that is in need for a hustle defender who knows his role and will do what it takes to win. And again, as much as I like Caruso and I don't want him leaving this team, if you're able to get 2 first-round picks for him and maybe even a young player to go with it, you have to do it. For a team that doesn't have draft capital and picks to work with to make trades or actually use those picks to build for the future, and a team that needs to start focusing more on improving their shooting profile rather than hanging on to players who are limited offensively, getting 2 first-round picks for a player like Caruso is a no-brainer. Keep in mind, the Bulls got Vucevic for 2 first-round picks and Wendell Carter Jr., and Vuce was coming off an all-star season in which he was putting up over 24 points per game and near 12 rebounds, and the Orlando Magic's best player. You can call it a bad trade in hindsight if you want, but the fact of the matter is Caruso is not an all-star and not even close to being the best player on a roster like Vucevic was when the Bulls made that trade for him. Getting the same package for him in a trade that the Bulls sent to Orlando for Vucevic would be a massive come up for the Bulls to try and recoup those trade assets that they lost in the Vucevic deal. Maybe you could even flip those first rounders to actually add some solid outside shooting and other role players for which you can build around the margins. Alex Caruso brings incredible defense. He's one of the best defenders in the NBA. He's likely going to be selected to his first all-defensive team this season, likely a second team all-defense, with the incredible year that he had on that end of the floor. But at the same time, a player who is only putting up 5.6 points per game, shooting 44% from the field on 4 shot attempts per game, and shooting 36% from 3 isn't moving the needle for the Bulls on offense. And at the end of the day, I don't see the Bulls moving on from Caruso because really anything less than 2 first-round picks for him, who is on such a great contract, isn't worth it. There is a balance when the costs outweigh the benefits for trading a player like Caruso for a guy who had one of the highest box plus minuses on this Bulls team to simply give up him for a low amount. The Bulls as a team were significantly better with Caruso on the court than when he was off. You saw that both this season and last season. You can't take that lightly if exploring a trade, and you have to try and maximize the value you would get in return if a trade is to be had, where you can walk away from the trade knowing that you got the better end of the deal. I would love to hear what you guys think though. Do you think the Bulls should look to trade Caruso given his overall trade value? Let me know in the comments, and as always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.